this presentation about my experience with e-learning for the Center of Excellence for Water project. I will start by an introduction and then talk about project steps in terms of kickoff meeting, the selected courses for phase 2 of the e-learning development and the development process itself. Then we are going to discuss the e-learning definitions, the types of assessment, and what I call the copyright nightmare, because there is a lot of details. Then the last section is about review of the Moodle version of the course after the team of developers from the AUC side put our course on the Moodle system. Then I will conclude my remarks. The Center of Excellence for Water has an education pillar to develop undergraduate courses. The project decided to convert some of the developed courses designed for face-to-face instruction into an e-learning version. The latter version will supplement face-to-face course. This is important. It will not be a standalone. It is designed to support face-to-face. But this particular issue, I think there is no plan showing how this idea is implemented on the ground, especially if the material is used by instructors different from those who developed the course. I made this list of abbreviations because American people like to use abbreviations, and for those who are watching my video and they don't have the meaning of Center of Excellence or subject matter expert or instructor designer, learning management system, course design matrix, online SUNY course quality review, where SUNY is the State University of New York. It's standards for e-learning courses, and CoI is Community of Inquiry, Learning Objectives LO, MCQ multiple choice question, APA is American Psychological Association, and OER is Open Educational Resources. The project steps started with a face-to-face kickoff meeting on the 28th of February 2024, and these are the team of developers. They are all females except Mr. Abdurrahman. They have a leader, Dr. Mahabali, and there are instructional designer Aya and Nisma, and there is a graphic designer and an instructional designer consultant in addition to the project coordinator, Mr. Abdurrahman. Phase 1 of the project, they developed 3 e-learning courses with different setup, one on water quality analysis, the other with wastewater treatment, and the third for non-conventional water resources. However, the second phase which we are working on, they made a poll to choose out of the developed 18 courses what is the first 5 courses that has to be converted to e-learning, and I was fortunate enough to have 2 courses in the list. The first one, the Sustainable Water Resources Management Strategies in Egypt, and the 5th one, the Climate Change Adaptation in Water Resources. A collaboration needs some guiding rules like roles and responsibilities. We conduct regular meetings, we have deadlines and milestones, and we have a lot of frequent communication either by phone, WhatsApp, or even a lot of emails going back and forth. This I have to enlarge this to show you the responsibilities for the subject matter experts, the responsibilities for the instructional developer, and those for the coordinator, the reviewer, the proofreader, and the graphic designer. There is a lot of customization and quality, and this takes a lot of time because this exercise is unique, and we don't have a one-size-fits-all thing. We have to collect course materials, to make instructional videos, have parts on additional readings and learning activities, and also have external resources. The factors affecting the course design, we have best practices and barriers. Best practices include frequent communication, define and meet critical milestones and quality learning activities, where the barriers include alignment failure, a lack of transparency and role confusion. Also, I need to enlarge this because this particular matrix is very important. It includes OSCQR, which is a quality review rubric, and it has two sections, one on course overview and information, and the other one on course technology and tools. As an example, for the first table, a course should include welcome and getting started content, and orientation is provided for the course overall. Course includes a course information area, and for the technology tools, we have requisite skills for using technology tools, technical skills required for participation in course learning activities, and to make sure that these elements are included, we have to check the matrix with an indicator to show sufficiently present, minor revision, moderate revision, major revision, and not acceptable, and a column dedicated for action plan. The course design and development process includes 4 steps. Boot map. Boot map is a short focused course to develop certain skills. Then number 2 is course outline. Number 3, content development and production. And number 4, quality assurance. This is the deliverables and milestones of design. It starts with the boot map, and the dates are given. Then initial consultation, second consultation. We have another online boot map that will include the course development matrix for module 1. Then we to finalize the CDM, and then the instructional developers and consultant CDM sign off. Even the graph is beautiful because the dates, but it doesn't show the duration of each of the activities in the deliverables and milestones. Maybe the curve should be redesigned. Here, the workflow of implementation starts by SMEs create and write content. The second step is SMEs submit content by module. Then reviewers and IDs, proofreaders provide feedback, and then the MSMEs address the feedback, and then we finalize the meeting with instructional developers. The e-learning is defined as the use of electronic devices and internet technologies to deliver a variety of solutions to enable learning and improve performance. Here we have 2 kinds of events: synchronous events and asynchronous events. For synchronous events, they take place in real time, and synchronous communication between 2 people requires them both to be present at the given time. An example of this kind of event is synchronous activities like chat conversations and audio-visual conferencing. For asynchronous events, they are time independent, and they are a self-paced course is an example of asynchronous e-learning because it can be studied at any time. Email or discussion forums are examples of asynchronous communication tools. What are the characteristics of e-learning for adult learners? They need to know the benefit of learning. They have to like to learn experientially. They have to approach learning as problem solving. They have to learn better when they see the immediate value and application of content. And they prefer to study at a time, place, and pace that is convenient to them. Community of inquiry is an important concept to develop e-learning material, and it has three kinds of presences: social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. I prepared, and there is some intersections as you see, and I prepared the next slide to define what community of inquiry is: a framework that recognizes the importance of interactions between social, cognitive, and teaching processes. The next three bullets shows how we shift in social presence from socio-emotional support to focus on group cohesion, from personal to purposeful relationships, and shift in development of cognitive presence or inquiry from exploration to resolution, or moving discussion beyond the exploration phase. Distinguishing in teaching presence between facilitation and direct instruction for the last presence of teaching. Can existing material be used as e-learning material? This is frequently asked questions by instructors. I will enlarge here. Unfortunately, existing training materials and documents cannot be automatically transformed into e-learning material. E-learning differs from face-to-face learning and requires specific formats. And here there is two examples. The first example, a PowerPoint presentation developed for face-to-face training is not an e-learning content because it doesn't include all the explanations and examples. A 20-page article made available online is not e-learning content because the way it is designed does not match specific learning objectives. Although preparing material is less demanding in instructor-led or facilitated e-learning, it is still necessary to adapt existing materials to the new learning environment. The course design approach, it's called a backward design. Why? Because we use learning outcomes first, which is the intended end of the learning process. Then we go for assessment. How do I check they have learned? And then activities. Which learning activities will lead students to the desired results? This is why it's called a backward design process. The Bloom's taxonomy, for people who don't know, is the levels of material. I'm going to enlarge this to read with you. At the lower part of the pyramid is knowledge. The purpose is recall of information, discovery, observation, listing and locating and naming. For comprehension, understanding, translating, summarizing, demonstrating and discussing. Application, using and applying knowledge, using problem-solving methods, manipulating, designing and experimenting. Analysis, identifying and analyzing patterns, organization of ideas and recognizing trends. For synthesis, using old concepts to create new ideas, design and invention. Composing, imagining, inferring, modifying, predicting and combining. And at the top of the pyramid, assessing theories, comparison of ideas, evaluating outcomes, solving, judging and recommending. Here is a list of performance level for the cognitive domains. In education we have 3 domains: cognitive, affective and psychomotor. But this has to do with cognitive domain. We have, according to the revised Bloom's taxonomy of the cognitive domain, learning objectives can imply 6 different types of cognitive performance, like remember, to recognize or memorize information, understand, able to reformulate a concept, apply, use the information in a new way, analyze, decompose and define relationships among components, evaluate, justify a decision according to a criterion or standard, and create, realize a new product or approach, which is another definition that has to do with the pyramid in the previous slide. Here are the following classification. Identify 6 main types of content: facts, procedures, concepts, principles, interpersonal skills, and attitudes. For facts, we use unique, specific information that answers the questions. Procedures, a procedure is a series of clearly defined steps aiming to perform a task. Concepts is a group of objects, entities, or ideas that are defined by a single word or term. Principle or rule describes a relationship between two concepts. For example, as price increases, the supply increases. Interpersonal skills includes verbal and non-verbal skills for interacting with other people, and attitudes is predispositions to behavior. And one example is content related to appreciate the importance and urgency of developing measures for limiting the negative impacts of climate change. There are 3 steps in activities. One of them is to write the LO according to the Bloom's taxonomy. Step 2, to think how to assess this LO. And step 3, build the activity that matches the LO Bloom's taxonomy level. Tips for content development. This is important. Before developing the content for the assigned lessons, review the proposed learning objectives. The other tip, make sure that the content and knowledge assessment tests and exercises match the lesson objectives. Then provide all the knowledge needed to meet the learning objective. And the last tip is use examples that are likely to be familiar to most, if not all, learners, because they have different backgrounds. We classify topics for each lesson as follows. Some of the topics are must know and some are nice to know. The must know is a core part of the content. The learner needs to understand these concepts. And the nice to know, the learner could get by without this information, but it could help to develop a better understanding. This is a list of references from which the previous slides were taken. Types of assessment. This section is important. It's a detailed series of slides that show different kinds of types of assessment. We have quizzes, assignments, feedback, discussion board, and for each of the assessment type we have type and the type of grading. For quizzes, almost all types of questions like MCQ, true, false, complete, etc. And they can be auto-graded or instructor-graded. For assignments, there are essay submission and it has to be instructor-graded. For feedback, they are self-assessment questions with general feedback and there is no grades. Discussion boards, simple discussion, Q&A, and instructor-graded. Quizzes is classified into 2 categories. Auto-graded, including multiple choice, true and false, drag and drop, matching and selecting missing words. I invented another 6 type of auto-graded quiz. I call it the matrix question and I described it in a different video. And for the instructor graded, there are essay and short answer because it's difficult to auto-grade them. Here are examples of multiple choice that has 2 options, A and B. This is the question and this is the answer, and if here in this example the student uses the wrong answer, therefore we have to have an explanation and we have to tell where the right answer is, as you can see. Here multiple choice, important here to know that it says choose all that apply. Therefore, it's different from the typical MCQ where there is a correct answer and 3 distractors. Why? Because the way we grade this is a bit complex. I am going to enlarge this to show you that if it chooses the first choice, he gets 50% of the mark. If he chooses the second choice, he gets reduced 25% of the mark. If he chooses the choice 3, he gets 50% of the mark. Auto-graded true or false. This is the question and this is the answer, and in this particular example the student was able to choose the right answer. Here is the auto-graded drag and drop text, and you can see that we use the rectangles at the bottom and drag them and put them in the window for the empty white rectangles above. This is the reason I put this slide is because some people, most of you knows engineering but you don't know bricolage, and bricolage is a French word that means construction as of sculpture or even structure of ideas achieved by using whatever comes to hand. Also something constructed this way. The rest of the slide shows the origin of the word in French language. It is important to tell students about the origin of words because this deepens their knowledge about the terms and they are using. Here is the auto-graded drag drop of the previous example. Green means correct and red means incorrect, and the correct answer is shown below, as you can see. Here is another auto-graded drag and drop text for a map showing the different parts of Australia. This is an auto-graded drag and drop text for medical students showing the names of human muscles. It's a bit complicated, but you got the idea. Matching by using a drop-down menu for each question you choose from. Then if you do that, it tells you if you are wrong or right. For this particular example, the students have 3 wrong answers, and the explanation and the correct answers are shown below. Auto-graded select missing words, the same thing. The missing words is chosen from a drop-down menu. And here is the auto-graded essay. Essay usually is graded by instructor, but for particular cases, especially with the availability of artificial intelligence, we can use the auto-grading. And the auto-grading can consider different answers. Like the key, the answer may vary. For example, the question in this example, if you become aware of do's and don'ts, the answer is correct. The same thing if you are aware of the best practices or you understand your learners better. Here is a summary of the types of feedback for auto-graded questions. Specific feedback for each answer for the types MCQ, true or false, and general feedback for the whole question, for drag and drop or matching or select missing words. Therefore, there are 2 types of feedback. Discussion board is a different story. I am going to enlarge this. We have to create a scenario for change discussion by answer the following question in the discussion board. Monitor your colleagues' answers and choose a minimum of 2 responses to comment on. This is the main idea of the discussion boards. And here is the feedback through a poll. You as a reflective teacher, you have to answer some questions about your performance, like are you willing to experiment and try out new ideas? Are you taking responsibility for your students' learning or lack of? This is the feedback. End of module self-assessment is done in a slightly different way by choosing from a list of check marks. what is your motivation for participating in this professional development module, and you have to choose from lifelong learning, career advancement, earn a certificate, or prepare for a career change. And then you submit your answers that tells the organizers of the e-learning course about the self-assessment of the teacher. The copyright nightmare is another important issue, especially working with Americans, because the copyright, we have the American law, we have with respect to citation, we have the APA style, we have images, articles and videos, and these are the people we communicate with when we have problems with copyright. And this is an advice for free business illustration. Here, if I choose data illustration, I get a lot of icons to choose from, because it is better for each slide to add an icon that tells you about the content of the subject matter in the slide. AUC is an American university and must follow both United States and Egypt copyright law. There are some contexts where copyright is not applied in the strictest ways. This is an important definition in the copyright thing, which is called fair use. For fair use, the US law is stricter than the Egyptian, and these are examples. Purpose, especially educational use in private settings. Nature of the work being used, either published or out of print or factual, and percentage of the work being used. Copying 10% of the book or chapter is acceptable, and effect upon work's value, which appeals to different audience. Open educational resources, OER, teaching, learning materials that you can freely use, modify or repurpose or reshare, are authored or created by an individual or organization that chooses to remain few, if any, ownership rights. Here is where to find this material: in educational repositories and digital libraries, at university and college university websites, educational software, government website, museum, professional organization websites, and web search engines. Here are some examples to find images and audio, and to find courses. There are several locations like Creative Commons, Wikipedia Commons, Flickr Creative Commons, and for courses you can find it in MIT OpenCourseWare, or even all sorts of material you can find in Khan Academy and other locations. Here is an advice: when you choose an image to include, it is important to go through the drop-down list in the Google search, if you like, about computer images, and then you have to check if it is not filtered by license, or labeled for use with modification, or labeled for reuse, or labeled for non-commercial reuse with modification. It is very important because there are very strict rules in the US copyright standards. Here, the spectrum of rights, there are three. Copyright, all rights reserved. These are the main three icons, but there are sub-icons we are going to talk about. Here is Creative Commons and Public Domain. Public domain, no rights reserved, may be used without permission. But if you go for details, we can find here other definitions related to the attribution. The abbreviation is BY, and these are the description of the attribution. This is non-commercial, NC, no derivative works, ND, and share alike SA, and under each of the icons and the two letters between parentheses you get a definition of the type of copyright. Here we have Creative Commons, and even Creative Commons, the CC has subdivisions icons like compulsory or use but don't make, money. Here and the icons actually explains your version must equal mine, and here if I allow you to change it, repeat my CC license. Here how to attribute CC. You attribute CC using title, author, source, and license type. Here is Creative Commons, and this more detailed licenses. We have 3 most open and 4 that is least open, and these are the icons according to the definition given before for 0 attribution by ND, SA, and NC. Here are different license types according choosing from the list in the previous slide. Here we have 2, BY and SA, and here is BY and ND, BY and NC, BY, NC and SA, and BY, NC and ND, and license types. Label. For works already in the worldwide public domain, the term public domain refers to creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property laws, such as copyright, trademark, and patent laws. The public owns these works, not an individual author or artist. Anyone can use a public domain work without obtaining permission, but no one can ever own it. And this is what we call public domain, or the 0. Here in the CC0 you can waive all copyrights and related or neighboring rights that you may have in all jurisdictions worldwide. What does it mean to develop content? Content includes videos, images, activities, resources, and full courses. And these are the references used to prepare the previous slides. Here, the review of the final product in Moodle, and this is my course on climate change. I'm going to show you the product after being put on Moodle and our comments on the final production of the team of from the AUC that helped us to create the e-learning. Here is Module 1, Introduction to Climate Change. We have history and introduction, and we have in this module, because there is modules and lectures, and in this module we have history and introduction. We have challenges, we have socio-economic impacts, and we have a quiz. For the first part we have a lecture and 2 activities, activity 1 and activity 2, and a reading exercise about historical overview of climate change science. We are going to see this is how the screen looks like for the student. And for history introduction we have a PowerPoint presentation. This is the first slide, and we have a quiz, and this quiz is drag and drop from a drop down list. This is another drag and drop exercise where the students were able to get 4 questions right and 2 wrong, and this is a report showing that he gets 4 out of 6 as final mark. And this is a reading exercise, historical overview of climate change science. Here is climate change adaptation in water resources, a true false type of question. And here is the second module. We have 6 modules in this course. Second module is about regulations and conventions for climate change. Module C3, water and ecosystems. Module 4, analysis tools for climate change. And module 5, climate change and water resources in Egypt. And the last module is climate change adaptation in water resources. I suggested for the project to add an SDG question, because for all our courses in Egypt, we have to tell the faculty and even the Supreme Court of universities how our courses are related to sustainable development goals. Therefore, I asked it to add this to all courses, and everybody did that. These are the 17 development goals, and these are all the lectures in the 6 modules, and we have to specify for each lecture how many SDGs are included in this particular subject. The model review comments is what we did as our reflection to the design of the e-learning team, and to my surprise there was a lot of comments, but these comments are very little, not major comments, but they are too many. For example, they put in module 0 a different text than the one it should be there. I told them this part is for my other course on water strategies, not on climate change. And the rest of the comments has to do with the design of slides and the details of the questions and quizzes. Here you can see that in this slide we have 10 comments that covers the module 0, 1, 2, and then another 12 comments that covers the rest of the modules from 2 to 6. And we have a general comment. When practicing the drag and drop questions, some of the answers were not fitting the place of the answer. It took a lot of time to drag the right answer in the right place, and the graphic designer or the construction developers has to answer to these comments. My comments on the testing stage of the model course: the output looks nice and different from the original design on PowerPoint, but there are too many comments from our side that reflect the importance of testing process, and most of the comments show that the responsible team for Moodle made a quick job without really scrutinizing the auditing process. My concluding remarks: I hope in this presentation I give you a glimpse of how we use the material given to develop before the starting process. And I had too many experiences with e-learning courses before, but this one with the AUC and the American side is different. The AUC, in my opinion, is complex with many steps and persons, but the most difficult was dealing with the copyright. The idea of using e-learning material to support face-to-face version is not clear to me. Maybe it will be clearer when we implement it. Typically, different developers are assigned to modules which each with his own character, which makes harmonizing the course with different developers maybe a difficult job.